Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another amazing episode of T3PO Live. I am your host, VashSky, and I'm going to soon welcome on an amazing panel to join alongside me. But, you see, before we get to that, today is a good day. And you know why today is a good day? Today is a good day because, well, it's a day following the one that, sees the Acolyte no more. Yes, indeed. At about the evening time yesterday, it was announced. It was, like Benjamin Loken said, deploy the likes. I love it. I absolutely love it. Going with the Star Wars theme. That is very, very cool. You see if I got my, here we go.
Are we blind? Deploy the garrison!
That's right there. It is a great day. Like I said, in the evening time yesterday, it was announced that Acolyte would not be getting a season 2, and I thank the Force that is that way, because man, oh man, did I really despise that show. So, to paraphrase Darth Vader right here, this will be a day long remembered. It has seen the end of the Acolyte, and it will soon see the end of Kathleen Kennedy. That is for sure. I just can't see how you keep somebody like that on. We understand her contract may come up for renewal in October. Guys, nothing changes unless Kathleen Kennedy actually moves on, and maybe we're getting around that point. I don't know. Hopefully that win, apparently, that she wants so much comes soon. We're going to be talking about all about the Acolyte. We're going to be talking about all about parks, all about, some legal stuff as well. Apparently, Disney has changed tact a little bit. People are saying backpedaling or whatever. I don't know about that, and we'll get into that as well. But before we do, let me go ahead and get on some amazing panelists right here. We have Barry Place 28, as always, just an amazing contributor to T3PO Live, and also to Lou Wasserman's Ghost is here to join us. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having us on.
Well, it's the power of many people clicking their TVs off.
Yes, the failure of one, the failure of two, the failure of many.
Cutting the thread of their membership in Disney Plus.
Oh, the jokes.
Scissoring
the memes,
all of
by
those
the way.
bad memories from their lives. The
memes. Well, you know what? Speaking of things that people don't want to be anywhere near, speaking of just filth and depravity and just awfulness right here.
Oh, no,
that's
wait,
not
that
just the
sounds
Acolyte. Yeah, that's not just the Acolyte. Actually, it's also here we go, Fort Wilderness Resort with sewage in the street. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I had to make the connection there, folks. I do apologize. But
in the street.
This is very. I think this is a very kind of interesting story, only because, the only reason I'm bringing this up, because it's a smaller story in the grand scheme of things. I understand, I know that, but this seemingly has happened before, relatively recently, not in that same spot, obviously, but at Magic Kingdom of all places. And by the way, it hasn't just happened once at Magic Kingdom, it's actually happened twice within a year's span. I say that because last time it was September, this time it's August, that this actually occurred right here. Bob, what is going on right now with Disney maintenance and so forth? Because we know that, for example, like the Adventureland bathrooms, for example, they're still not up. They're still... They're still...
that was always my favorite place when I got there, because it got you far enough into the park to move on from there.
Sure. And the waterfall was absolutely spectacular in this area. That's all been removed because of some pipe main leak or main burst or something like that.
They had some old pipes break, and we had some sewage issues, but the bathrooms are open. At least when I was there the other day, they were open.
Or else there wouldn't be sewage in the streets at the other end of the pipe.
Yes, you are right. Actually, the bathrooms are open, but it's just one of those things where it's like, how do you let it get to a point in which you have to take out an entire waterfall on such short notice, and now we still have walls up in this area? Bob, what is going on? I mean, is there something going on with the maintenance at the Disney parks right now? In your opinion, in your view, what have you experienced?
So I think it's a combination of the fact that, Disneyland has and as we've seen from the permits, they are definitely updating a lot of lampposts and pipes and electrical, because I mean the park opened in 1955, and some of these pipes and electrical have not been replaced ever or in years. And so obviously over time things break, just like they do in your house, and that's what's happening at the House of the Mouse there. But unfortunately, some of these things happen, like the bathrooms. That happened, and of course they are reactive to that. But with Haunted Mansion and with Tiana's Bayou Adventure and some of the other areas of the park, they're definitely updating the electrical and the piping as they're going along. So thankfully they are trying to be proactive in that sense. But unfortunately, things like this do happen from time to time. Now, I'm not real familiar with the Fort Wilderness Resort sewage issue. I know it happened last year, but I'm not real familiar with the Florida stuff.
Look on the bright side, guys. If something like this happened at the same time of year, 2 years running at Epcot, they'd turn it into a festival.
Oh, come on, Boo. Oh, jeez. Oh, you cracked me up.
That's a great That's a great
It would be
joke right
the Poop and Pee Festival, the International Poop and Pee Festival.
It's got to be international.
Imagine the menu items in the little kiosks.
Oh, jeez. Don't even go there, Boo.
This is getting disturbingly graphic now. But I will say this. At least in Liberty Square's case, it matches the theming right there. You see?
It does match that theming, doesn't it?
With the genuine historical
sewage ground on the
17th
ground
century plumbing.
Yes.
Yep. So if people don't know, and this is from last year's incident, by the way, all these images that you're seeing right here on your screen at this current moment. But if you don't know, this kind of brown stripe that you actually have here running through Liberty Square, that's, I mean, I understand, there haven't been Imagineers who have necessarily firmly said this, but it has long been understood that is supposed to be running sewage down the middle of the street, like you would experience in olden times back in the 1770s, back east there. So, it just at least it's thematically appropriate. I will say that, but nobody obviously wants that at a Disney park. And Bob, have you seen some of these images coming out of Tron, for example, of this kind of this grunge that's on some the outmost parts of the canopy? Have you seen those?
No, I haven't seen that. Do you have any photos?
I think I do.
But
I just now thought of it, actually. Let me see here if I can actually find them. But it's just when you look at the maintenance standards of the whether it be the Disneyland Resort or Walt Disney World, I think it's a little bit appalling just to see these things in this state, because obviously Walt Disney wanted someplace that was clean and someplace that was removed from those maybe dirty amusement parks of the time, and it's just sad to see these standards decline this way. Let me see.
Look at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting all the money into the international parks, and I bet you nobody complains in China if this happens.
Well, that's
else.
I suppose that's a fair point. Now, look, we have to assume that there are some standards in China, but we
Sure.
have seen a populace who was maybe removed from, I don't know, Western. How do I say this that's not culturally sensitive? They have different cultural values when it comes to this. I'll put it that way. And sure. I mean, maybe it works out there. Maybe the ROI is higher in those places. Actually, we might go over some themed Entertainment Association reports that have recently come out that maybe add some credence to the idea that when you invest out there internationally, maybe those dollars actually go farther. It's a very interesting idea. But it's just it's just sad to see when you see reports of trash, either being on the ground or even not being picked up by cast members in the way that they should be. That was always part of cast member training and so forth. Just very, very disheartening. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Bob, okay. Sorry, Luke.
No, what were we going to say? Or what were we going to ask?
What more is there to say than that this is wrong? That you don't fix things like this after they break, you maintain them, you send a maintenance person to go take a look at those pipes every month or two, and you act proactively. But that's assuming that you're managing well.
Right.
Otherwise,
There we go.
not so much.
Finally found it. Sorry, guys. I do apologize. I had to look it up here, but you can see this. The outskirts of the canopy are made of a different material than the canopy itself, and they have been suffering from a lot of dirt and grime and rust in some cases and so forth. And it's like, man, I just don't remember Disney standards being like this. And it's really, like I said, disheartening.
And that's not an old ride.
No, it's
not.
well,
It's also a very hard to get to area for that canopy, Not making
it is, but don't you incorporate that kind of thinking into your design? I mean, look, if you do have a place in which you can't maintain, maybe that, maybe you should design it differently.
A ladder, you build in a way of getting there. Even if it's a cherry picker after the park closes, you go up there once a month and take a look.
I would think so. Or you use materials that won't accumulate like this.
You think about the tradition of excellence. I remember seeing a documentary once about a guy whose entire job was to polish the brass door handles and striker plates on Main Street every night after the park closed. That's all he did. Think there's anybody doing that now, even once a month? I doubt it.
Man, I would hope so, but I know that the third shift cast members and so forth have been cut back and so forth, and I know they've been pulling some maintenance budget from certain areas. It's interesting. That's another story that we can actually get into right here. I don't know, Bob. Do you see this in MiceChat's most recent update? This was delivered on Monday, August 19th. If you scroll down here, you got to go deep, folks. Sorry. So we're going to scroll all the way down in this article right here at the almost the tail end. Well, actually, before we get to that, cast members drawing faces on dust-covered decorations recently put up for the Halloween time.
In other words, they've been sitting in a warehouse getting dusty, and nobody bothered to dust them off before they put them up.
Isn't that crazy?
Because that wasn't their job. Their job was putting it up, not making it clean.
But if you go all the way down... Oh, go ahead, Bob.
No, I was going to say, so that specific Oogie Boogie, I saw that they were putting it up last week, and it's up now. They've been putting up all the other facades, for Halloween, and yes, they took them out, but they're doing this at night. I'm not making excuses for them, but, I'm sure that they probably, will take the time to dust them off, but that's kind of interesting that someone would actually put that little smiley face on there, because the last time I looked at it, it looked like it had been dusted off, and it wasn't like that anymore. So.
Because of the smiley face, otherwise they wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, and this is why, almost like watchdog groups like MiceChat, for example, if you want to call them that, really kind of holding Disney's feet to the fire when it comes to maintenance and when it comes to their standards and so forth is so crucial, because, sometimes if this stuff isn't brought to their attention in some way, it just doesn't get resolved. So I am thankful for that. But I wanted to go ahead and run this by you, Bob, because I thought there was a very interesting little blip here in this article. It says Disney layoffs, from the horrors of Halloween to the horrors of working for the mouse. In the days following the D23 Expo, the layoff hammer has come down hard across the company. It was reported in July that Disney was trimming its TV divisions, including Nat Geo, Freeform, and ESPN. And we've covered that exclusively here on That Park Place and many other areas. But now we are hearing people are being let go in the experiences division of the company. That includes parks, experiences, and products. We reached out to the company for comment and have yet to hear how many people and in which parts of the business units have been affected. But Disney will need to disclose this information to shareholders sooner rather than later. After the massive 8,000-person layoff after Bob Iger returned to the company in 2022, it's surprising to hear that job cuts are happening again so soon. Bob, have you heard anything about this? Because literally this is like the first time I'm seeing anything about experiences, cast members or staff being cut in any way. What's your take?
And the thing is, when we heard about the last ones with the TV division and everything, I had a friend who works up in Burbank, and I heard about it right away, and I reached out to her right away to see what was happening, what was going on. This I have not heard, so it's kind of interesting. And in fact, I just talked to some cast members yesterday and haven't heard anything about any new layoffs. So, I mean, maybe this is behind the scenes, with more corporate employees.
But it makes sense that it should happen after D23 is gone with all of its active viewers of service. And after they just negotiated a contract, and now they come to people and say, guess what? The good news is you're making more per hour. The bad news is you're making it till 5 o'clock this afternoon. Goodbye.
Man, that's tough.
Well,
it's kind of how that goes.
I'm sure we're going to hear something. If this is in fact happening, I'm sure we're going to hear something soon. But the thing is, usually when these things happen, you hear about it, fairly quickly, within hours of it happening. And I have not heard this at all. So I'm kind of surprised that they're announcing this. Or it's either that, or maybe they know someone in labor relations that is aware.
That knows it's coming, but it hasn't actually hit the fan yet.
Exactly. Right.
So that could be a possibility too. But yeah, as long as I've worked in HR and labor relations, we usually keep that stuff pretty quiet until it's ready to roll out. But maybe they know something.
And they will use as the excuse the lowered attendance.
Well, that's perhaps true as well. Go ahead.
It's kind of funny though, and it's ironic because yesterday I talked to several people who are at Disneyland, and they were surprised how busy it was. And Monday through Thursday is actually packed at Disneyland right now for several different reasons. Obviously, the Enchant Key is back. You have people who are buying the cheaper tickets Monday through Thursday. You have people who also are from Anaheim buying the $96 or $69 ticket for the 69th birthday of Disneyland. And you have a lot of people who are arriving or traveling during that time. A lot of people are leaving on the weekends.
West Coast kids haven't gone back to school yet, but they're starting to on the East Coast.
Yeah, well, actually, my daughter went back to school 2 weeks ago, and the schools around here and around Anaheim are starting to go back this week. So, a lot of people are like, oh, well, it shouldn't be that busy, but it is still busy. The only time it's really not that busy, believe it or not, Sundays is the lightest day it seems to be right now.
And I'll tell you why.
Even Saturdays have been a little bit, it's more expensive too.
It's about conventions. Conventions load in on Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they do their thing, and Thursday and Friday is the banquet, and they go home on Saturday, and the next one comes in on Sunday. So it's the wives and children of the men who are at the meetings at the convention center or whatever.
That is true. And we just got done with D23. There's actually a snowboard convention in town right now, and a couple other ones. So that definitely happens. Yeah, snowboard.
Wow.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. So there's all sorts of conventions happening all the time, obviously. And Lou's right. There's a lot of family members of those people who are going to the conventions or work, and they go to visit downtown Disney and Disneyland and whatnot. But Disneyland has been actually really, really busy and packed. And even though Sunday is the lightest day, it's still pretty busy. So it's funny too, because I just saw a post on X, and some guy was complaining, everyone's saying that, Disney parks aren't busy, but look at Disneyland. It's like, well, yeah, Disneyland's keeping busy right now. And you also need to understand that Disneyland's a little bit different from Walt Disney World. A lot more people go. They have a lot more annual pass holders. It's easier access. So, and it's only 2 parks instead of like 4, 3 parks and 2 water parks. So you're kind of condensed in what is available here in California. So to me, I'm
I wonder about time of day too, because if you live close, I used to go down and do business with a company in Garden Grove, and rather than fight the freeway to go back to the west side where I lived, I'd spend the afternoon and evening at the park, go have dinner at Granville's, and then drive home. So if you have an annual pass and you live someplace close, week evenings in vacation time are not a big deal. So
yeah, and that seems to be happening quite a bit, where a lot of people are going around or after work, so around 5 o'clock or so, and they're staying until the firework time. And then usually after fireworks, it starts to die down pretty quick. But the one thing that's not helping out either is that they're closing at 11 p.m. every single night this week, because they're getting ready for Oogie Boogie Bash and putting up the rest of the Halloween decorations at Disneyland. So, yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't allow people to spend as much time in the park, so they're staying longer too.
But if they're on an annual pass, it's not like they're buying a ticket every time, and therefore, you know. So.
Well,
Exactly.
Well, here, let me show you let me show you guys a little bit about attendance at Disneyland as compared to Walt Disney World and so forth. These numbers were very interesting from the recent Themed Entertainment Association report. On this story in particular right here, I wouldn't be sharing this with you guys unless it came from Dusty, unless it came from MiceJet. They've been pretty spot on in the past. They really know their stuff. So again, we're still trying to get confirmation out of this, and perhaps we will learn more from some other major outlets or from a company statement or so forth. And when we do, we will go ahead and let you know first thing right here. But I want to go ahead and take you guys to the Themed Entertainment Association report. This is a report that's done by an independent group who, they're basically a range of industry experts who actually analyze theme parks all across the world, both theme parks and amusement parks. You can see the slash right there in the upper corner. And they give their professional opinions on the state of the industries and so forth, what attractions that may have opened at that time, whether they were successful or not, and what the trends and industry patterns that they are seeing right here. So as part of their 2023 report, which we have right in front of us right now, you can see Magic Kingdom right there with 17.7 million guests last year, number one on this Themed Entertainment Association report. It has reclaimed the number one spot. It was out of the number one spot for a little while there, while Tokyo claimed all the glory. But Tokyo not doing so well, as we'll get into in a moment. But right next to it, number two, and only a couple 100,000 away, is Disneyland Park in Anaheim, California. Now, Disneyland Park doesn't necessarily have the capacity that Magic Kingdom does, with those 1970s walkways as opposed to those 1950s walkways and so forth. There's just so much more capacity at Magic Kingdom. I believe there's like a 15 or 20% difference, I believe, is what was quoted to me, I think by Jonas, looking up those numbers from touring plans and some of those other places like that. So the fact that it's even, in the running to this degree, so close to Magic Kingdom, tells me two things. One, tells me people are still visiting Walt Disney World, but two, not as many as you would think. Magic Kingdom's disparity between Disneyland and Magic Kingdom's own attendance should be much wider. That delta should be much wider. The fact that it's with Disneyland's within striking distance is very interesting. And to Bob's point that he made earlier, yes, people are still going to Disneyland, but think about it. 75% of the annual visitation at Disneyland comes within 250 miles of that resort. So these are people who have annual passes, repeat visitors, and so forth. So the per cap's a little different, obviously, than your once in a lifetime or once in a 10-year visitor that you experience at Magic Kingdom, staying at those hotels and so forth.
Especially the per cap merch buy, because if you're there every month or two or three,
sure,
I don't need a T-shirt this trip. But if it's your once in a lifetime, I'm going to buy 12.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And we know that Magic Kingdom and all of Walt Disney World, quite frankly, has a lot more dining capacity. That's the one thing, Bob, that I still don't like about the Disneyland Resort, is that there's not enough sit-down restaurants, especially in Disneyland Park. I believe we only have 4 sit-down table service dining restaurants in Disneyland Resort. It's not enough, Bob. It's not enough.
And when you're selling those restaurants at the major meal dinner as part of the Fantasmic package or something like that, you're shutting out people who just want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. It's just not enough to do, I think, what they want to do. Now, some of the other interesting things in this report right here goes on about how Tokyo, not doing so well, and especially comparatively to their prior performance back in 2019. The reason I'm going back to the 2019 numbers is because there's so much volatility in the 2020, 21, 2022 numbers. It's really the best comparison to kind of, get a lot of that volatility tampered down a little bit there. But we can see that I believe there was I think I calculated it was like an 18% decline from both Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Seas when compared to their 2023 levels. Meanwhile, though, Universal Studios Japan shot up tremendously, 29% year over year, but 16 million. That is a huge bump right there. If I have the math, I thought it was something like 10% or 16% or something like this, some crazy number. Yeah, I don't have my. maybe I do. Yes, 10% was the math on that from their 2019 levels for Universal Studios Japan. Just astounding, just how much it's jumped up here in recent days, and I think that's due to Super Nintendo World. To be honest with you, I think that's why people are packing themselves in like sardines to get into that park. I heard the comment from one of the videos that we put up on this specific topic. It was like Mickey Mouse, their Mickey Mouse is Mario, essentially. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Crazy stuff.
Makes sense to me.
See? And we know
Chime
that...
Along Paradise. Never heard of that one. And Mian Yang Fenta Wild Oriental Heritage. And
Chime Along
Wild.
Definitely climbing the charts there. 184% increase year over year. Shanghai experiencing a similar increase in terms of their attendance. Obviously, as well, the culture over there. It experienced some things going over the pandemic era and so forth. So it looks like they're going through another recovery wave there. Very, very interesting. Not too dissimilar to what Japan has been going through. Again, both these regions very heavily affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, that is for sure. But people have been looking at this chart and going, look at the declines. The year-over-year declines from Universal Studios Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida, 10% declines. Oh my goodness gracious, the sky is falling and so forth. Even though at Universal Studios Hollywood, big jump there, 15% year over year. Again, the Mario effect. I want to remind people that the Comcast did acknowledge this in their most recent earnings calls. They said that competition from cruises and international tourism, particularly due to the strength of the U.S. dollar, has put pressure on U.S. theme parks. That is very true. But Comcast also acknowledged that making fewer investments in new Florida attractions ahead of the opening of the new theme park, Epic Universe, in 2025, adding that's played a role in declining attendance. The key point I'm making here is that Universal's present is Disney's future, because we know that they don't have investments for the next couple of years. Now, D23 Experiences panel, oh yeah, we're going to promise you the world. But Bob, Lou, you and I both know that this stuff takes what, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years to actually get constructed and built and installed.
Right.
There are going to be some lean years here if we're experiencing 10% declines for Universal.
A lot of the announcements they're making, like Coco, that doesn't break ground until 2026. So it's like, okay, you made this announcement and you're like, okay, so in 2 years you're going to break ground. Well, in 2 years we're probably going to hear, oh, it's been delayed or canceled or pushed back or something like that. That's the problem that Disney's having right now. We've talked about this many times on the show, and the thing is that they make promises they don't tend to keep, and that's one of the major problems that they're having. It's like. And again, look at Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Hey, this is what we're going to come out with. It looks great. And then 2 years later, well, it's going to be this way now. And then 2 years later, you're like, oh, that's not exactly what I thought it was going to look like from the beginning in the first place. What's going on? And so many things change. And I get it. Things do change, right? No problem.
Sure.
But and we've talked about this as well. Parks aren't doing well. Their companies not. Actually, the parks are doing fine. The company in general as a whole is not doing well, especially entertainment division. So when you have to take money from the theme parks, that's making the bulk of your money and putting into other parts of the company. Well, now you're limiting what you can do and what you may be able to do for the rides, but also going back to the maintenance thing. Again, I think they're trying to do what they can for maintenance over Disneyland. Obviously Walt Disney World has some issues and Disneyland has some issues too, but I think we start seeing a pattern of, well, they're not able to do as much maintenance. They're not able to, build as many rides or attractions, or they've got to scale them down. Things are taking a hit when the company's not doing as well as it should be doing. And that's the major problem that we're having. And it's so disappointing when you hear these great announcements and then years down the line go, oh, that's not what they did at all. This is totally different. I mean, but we can talk about this for ages. Galaxy's Edge. Oh, it's going to be this, amazing place with lots of droids and actors and aliens all over the place. It's going to be amazing. And then no, you've got Stormtroopers, Kylo Ren, Rey, Chewbacca, and every once in a while, Boba Fett and et cetera, et cetera. It's not that living, breathing world that we were promised, and it's really, really disappointing. And so when things like that start happening, people aren't going to come. I mean, people will come when you have new rides and attractions, but they're making promises to future things that we're not seeing yet. And when we do get them, we're kind of disappointed. I mean, look, Tiana's Bayou Adventure opened in Walt Disney World. It's been the most disappointing thing, to open. And I think a lot of people are like, well, they haven't done anything over there in a long time. They finally opened something up and it's not running every single day. Well, I guess I'll just cancel my trip, or maybe I won't go as many days or whatnot. And it starts.
Or maybe, when Universal says part of our problem is we've done such a good job of promoting Epic that people are saying, I think I'll wait a year until that's open. Right. Those people are going to Epic, not to Disney. And what about the Disney people who say, well, Tiana's not working. This Country Bear redo doesn't seem so hot. Epcot's become an empty mall or an airport. Maybe I'll wait. And when I do go, I won't go there. I'll go to Epic too.
Right.
In other words, it's one thing to say, I'm giving up my own customers now because they're anticipating what I'm going to do next year. But it's another thing to say, when I open next year, I'm also going to take half of theirs.
Yeah, and the thing I'm really worried about, though, is that they're going to become so reactive to Epic Universe that they're going to start coming out with new rides and attractions that are not going to be top scale or top notch. They're just going to be like, okay, well, we need to answer that. So, okay, let's hurry up and get that Villains Land up, and we're just going to throw it up. And we can't do everything we want to do, so we're just going to do what we can. And there we go. And then it's not as great. And then everyone's disappointed by
when you give up the brand as the world's best, you don't get it back.
Yeah, that's true.
You can only lose your reputation once, as the actress said to the bishop.
Absolutely, and that's very true. And I want to go over that reputation actually, Lou, because I think that's very, very key to this story right here. But I think we have another panelist joining. I say think because not on camera, so we're gonna see how this goes right here. But I would love to get this person's insight. That's for sure. Marty, are you there with us?
I am. The camera's not working.
Camera's not working. Well, that's fair enough right there. It's completely all right, sir. Don't even worry about it.
You want me to back out and try to redo the settings?
You could try. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let me do that.
Yep. You got it. We'll let you on in just a moment. But I want to go over that reputation because I think that's very interesting right here. Because you see this content art, you go, "Oh my goodness, this looks so great. This looks amazing.
Like Look at the onion.
Coasters." Mm-hmm. Yeah, bloomin' onion, right? This looks amazing. But then you think, I've heard this bedtime story before, maybe not with a project that ambitious, but people remember the Main Street Theater that was supposed to be behind the Main Street facades at Magic Kingdom. Whatever happened to that guy? Whatever happened to the Reflections Resort that was supposed to be on a DVC property opening in the vicinity of Fort Wilderness? Whatever happened to that? Oh, I don't know. It just kind of, poof, gone. What about the Epcot overhaul project? We were promised so many different things in 2019, no less, about new things that we'd be getting. Obviously, the World Celebration right here with this festival structure and so forth. This pink walkway there that you can see in this concept art. But if we get even closer, we can see some details that never quite made it to fruition. Obviously, the festival structure itself right there. People remember the Play Pavilion. Remember the Play Pavilion, Bob? I remember the Play Pavilion.
Yeah.
I remember all those amazing concepts right there that we were supposed to get as part of this new pavilion in the Wonders of Life pavilion, and they did extensive work on the.
And by the way,
go ahead.
It is the multitude of these things that's the issue, because this is the reverse of the little boy who cried wolf.
Right.
If you didn't make, we all know things fall through and things change, but if every single Big Bang prediction you make, to the point where you are forced to lie and say, these are all under active development, honest. These actually have dirt moving, honest. And then we look around for the dirt and it's not moving. And sooner or later, people just start saying, oh, that's just their usual BS. That's just their usual hype. I'll believe it when I see it. And when we see it, it's Tiana. And it's the lights that don't work in the floor and the lights that don't work in the Tron queue. and the bad airport lounge that is over here. I mean, and it's not just one. It's time after time after time after time, and that's killing. That
all the stuff
that
we were
leads
supposed
to
to
a
get.
lack of credibility that will take decades to bring back.
I want to get
earlier we were talking, or last night I guess it was, about what do you do about Star Wars, and I said you shut up about it, and you totally develop whatever you're going to develop that you think is going to save it in the dark without promotion, and you shut down everything else, and you let people think it's gone away, and when you're ready with something really good, that's when you come back. Well, if I were developing a really, really great thing for Disney World right now, I wouldn't let it get near the PR people, because they'll hype it beyond its ability to meet expectations. And it will be, but they said it was going to be, and now it isn't. And you don't need any more of that bad news, gang. You just don't.
They got the famous phrase wrong, Lou. It's supposed to be under promise, over deliver, not the other way around.
Exactly.
Marty. I know you've been watching some of these stories coming out of D23. I know you've been watching, all these attractions, these presentations, these expansions, these great ambitious plans. But I don't know. I think people have come down to reality just a tad, especially after that Rivers of America announcement that it was going to be, glowing away forever. Marty, what's your take on all of this right here? Is it too little, too late? Can Disney stem the tide? Can Disney deliver this time?
I mean, well, they haven't shown me anything. Going back to like Tomorrowland '98, they talk a lot, and even this, everyone says, "Oh, they came out with stuff. Oh, shovels in the ground," but there's not shovels in the ground. It's just even going to happen.
Or if you go over there and actually look for that shovel in the ground, you find an overweight guy with a hard hat munching on a sandwich, leaning on the shovel.
Lou.
Well, how do you? But that's because they take so damn long. Look, the mismanagement level here, when they said, "Oh, gee, we're building this Tron thing," a ride that takes 45 seconds. And it was developed because it was going to a place where people weren't into coasters. And the pandemic hits. Your first instinct should be great. The people are out of the way. Let's finish it and have it be waiting when things change. Their first instinct was, all right, there's no rush. And there's no rush, and there's no rush, and there's no rush. And suddenly, it cost 3 times as much as it was going to because of inflation on materials and labor. Right. And B, it doesn't work.
It's so true.
It's just wrong. It's the same mismanagement that has them say, "Oh, we have a clever lawyer who thinks we can get off the hook on this lady that died," and now say, "Well, we are compassionate. We're not."
Oh, I have a great little story to tell you guys about that.
Please.
In my mail box today, I received my $65.67
the lawsuit money from
lawsuit
the
claim.
From the Dreams Pass. Gotcha.
It's wild, Trey, because I've been subscribed to Disney Plus the whole time. I didn't know I was eligible.
That's a good point.
And it came today.
Well, I think that's a good segue.
To quote Louis Jourdain in the great James Bond movie Octopussy, "I suggest you spend it quickly, Mr. Bond."
Don't catch it right away, huh, Lou?
Yeah, well.
A great segue to our next story right here. Did Disney backpedal? Are they backtracking? Are they switching up tact right here?
Seems like it.
Audience, you decide. This goes off of a story with its origins, I believe, last year, I believe. This from the New York Post. Disney wants a New York NYU doctor allergy death suit tossed because of widower's Disney Plus subscription. This was a crazy, crazy story right here. Apparently, this couple went to Walt Disney World in order to celebrate, in order to have a vacation there. Went to Raglan Road on Disney Springs property there. and ate at that restaurant. The wife in this case was assured that her allergy issues would be considered when actually making her meal, and unfortunately they weren't, and this woman here ended up passing away. And the husband is like, hey, somebody's got to pay for this negligence, essentially, and end up suing not only Raglan Road or the proprietors of that restaurant, but also the Walt Disney Company. And it's, claiming $50,000 there. Pretty
well, but that's about, you have to claim 50 grand or more, or it's small claims or something crazy like that in the law there.
I see.
They're not expecting 50, they're expecting 50 zillion, or whatever they can get, and rightfully so. Let's remember, because there will be a very small percentage of people out there who will call this greed and have no compassion for the situation. When these companies have to pay off in these situations, the intent of the payoff is not just to compensate the people who died. It's to get them to do a better job of what they should have been doing so they don't get another one and another one and another one.
Right.
I have had personal experience because my wife is allergic to something with the allergy stuff at Disney restaurants, and they've been very good. You put it in the reservation, and by the way, that's why Disney's in the suit, because of course all the reservations for Raglan go through Disney.
Fair point.
Therefore, they're part of the deal. And in that reservation form, it asks, are you allergic to anything? And it gives you a choice of the usual suspects, and then you can fill in your own if it's something different. And when you sit down at the restaurant, usually, in my experience, the waiter comes over and says, we see from your reservation and you have this, somebody from the kitchen, one of our chefs will be out to talk to you. And one of the real live chefs comes out and personally talks to you about it, makes sure they understand, and makes a very strong guarantee that you'll be fine. Well, how can I believe that anymore now that I've seen this? It's a big deal. It's a big deal for the trust that you, especially if you have a really serious bad allergy that'll kill you, the trust that you place in them, they need to live up to. And when they don't, they need to pay for it.
Well, and there's trust in there's trust in that process, right? And there's trust in the transaction and everything that your dietary needs will be taken care of. And unfortunately, in this case, they were not. But then another trust was broken with the Walt Disney Company when the company said, well, you can't sue us because, well, you as the husband suing us enrolled in a free Disney Plus subscription. Yeah, years ago, in order to watch The Mandalorian. Trial.
It was a 1 month free trial. We don't know if any money changed hands. Remember when you were even a kid, people always said, well, if you sign something, you got to have at least $1 exchanged because that makes it legal, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how that applies anymore. But a freebie month?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And by the way, we've seen some accidents. What about the lamppost falling on somebody? What about the guy who the boat over from the ticket center hit something and when it docked and he got thrown into the trash can or something crazy like that?
Right.
Where's that? What's the name of that lawsuit firm that the ambulance chasers that advertise everywhere down there?
Something I can't remember.
Martin and Mason and we Cheatham and Howe. But where are they?
Right.
I was changing my mic, so I don't know if I'm coming in. Somebody said I was coming in a little hot, so I don't know if I'm
a little fuzzy, but it's okay. Go for it.
Okay.
You're completely cool.
Okay. Every company has an app now, or comes out with an app.
Right.
If you're gonna slide that into the terms of service, I mean, I can't go to 7-Eleven then. I mean,
that's
like
right.
the McDonald's drive-through. If I get if somebody hits me at McDonald's, or like everybody has an app. If you're going to slide that into the terms of service, that's super dangerous.
Not only do they have one, in the case of Disney, they basically want to try and force everybody to use mobile ordering everywhere.
It's necessity, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, you don't have a choice. You will use this machine, and if you die, you will walk away.
They outline in their lawsuit that, hey, look, because you're using like the Walt My Experiences app, the My Experience app, because you're using that to buy tickets and so forth or to interact in any way, well, that also precludes them from litigation. And it's like, what? That's crazy. Bob, go ahead.
Well, yeah, but a lot of companies are doing this, even gaming companies. Oh, you play this game, you can't sue us if you agree to play this game. And so it's gotten ridiculous. But the fact is, and this has been proven, that even though they have these disclaimers in there, yeah, you can still sue someone. You can still take them to court. It's always interesting to see what happens in these cases. But there have been times where you can definitely still go after this company.
Sure,
they're saying no, you can't. But that's just Disney deflecting.
You find a lawyer who's willing to do it, and they're more likely to settle than the cost of getting far enough to tell them you can't sue.
So in this particular instance, they are saying, well, you have to go to arbitration. Apparently, due to the clauses embedded in Disney Plus and in My Experiences app, this is it precludes us from litigation because of this arbitration clause. And it's like, okay, then that's kind of strange that you would even bring that up or use it as a way to deflect yourself from the lawsuit itself, because they came out later with a statement as this story was starting to catch fire. We are deeply saddened by the family's loss and understand their grief. Given that this restaurant is neither owned nor operated by Disney, we are merely defending ourselves against the plaintiff's attorney's attempt to include us in their lawsuit against the restaurant. It's like, okay, yeah, but you've already shown your hand. This is...
Can I react to something in the chat? Dice Media Group is telling us what we already know, which is that, they backed off today and saying we shouldn't talk about this story anymore because it's not happening. Yeah, we should talk about it because let me tell you something, Dice. Management should have reacted to this better to begin with. If a lawyer a junior Birdman lawyer who's out to make his bones and prove that he's the next Petrocelli, which is what I suspect happened here, says, hey, I got a way around it. We got this. Higher management should say, and then we're going to look like schmucks to the entire world.
Right.
Let's just leave that alone, please. This way, they get all the negative PR, they get all of the derision, rightly so, and they don't get what they're going after, and they're still going to have to go to court. And that story, which was sad and which made headlines, which might have just sort of slipped below the news's radar when it finally got to court, with a footnote saying, today the Disney company settled for X million dollars, and that puts an end to this story. Instead, is going to be covered at every turn by the media as a way of rubbing this in. And so this is a classic case of Disney bad management, and on that we are covering it, Dice. Thanks.
I mean, again, if this is something they believed in and they thought had legal merit, why not use it for the class action Dream Pass instead of a death case?
Yeah.
Well, apparently that might be
because
standard operation.
It doesn't just say you can't sue, you have to go to arbitration. It says you cannot join in any class actions. So even if the 12 people who never got a freebie from Disney Plus get paid, you don't. And how's that going to affect the sales of memberships in Disney Plus?
What the company
there's so many things wrong with how they handled this. Just from a purely bottom line, they would have been better to write that guy a check for $10 million and tell him we're sorry, and had a nice picture of Big Bob offering him a free shower along with the check, and gotten a reputation as a compassionate company who was really sorry it happened. And
you couldn't pay a marketing firm $10 million in Saks Fifth Avenue to give you that kind of turnaround publicity right there. Good optics, good.
Exactly.
Instead, go ahead, Marty.
Oh, well, let me also say, somebody I've done a lot of skydiving and I do a lot of extreme sports. I sign a waiver.
Right.
I don't care, man. I know enough people in the industry and stuff. You sign that waiver. If they still kill you, you can sue them.
Sure.
It does not matter. If there's negligence.
Not just them. Everybody in the chain of command. Let me tell the story again because it's relevant. My father had a manufacturing business. We picked up raw materials from various places. One of the places had a big volume all the time. And so they wanted to put in a bin to collect it in with a screw conveyor that would dump it into our truck when it came once a week to pick up the stuff. They hired one of our guys, not from us. They didn't ask us to build it. They hired him independently because he was a welder and he was good with machinery. And they asked him to build them this bin so it'd be at the right height for our truck and all the rest of that stuff. He did. He bought pieces of steel to build it with. But we happened to have lying around the back lot of our factory an old piece of screw conveyor that was the right size. And he said, "Can I buy this?" My father sold it to him for like $10 just to get rid of it because he was a friend of ours. He worked for us, and it gave him a little extra income to do this job for this customer of ours, right?
Sure.
10 years later, some idiot at that company leaning over this bin, his ball cap fell off, and he reached his arm in to go get it.
Oh.
And the screw conveyor took his arm off. Terrible thing. One day we get a lawsuit. We are John Doe number 27 in a list of people. Why? Because we sold for $5 a piece of steel. Now, were we eventually liable? Was there any actual damages? Were we able to say, "Sorry, guys, but not us"? Sure, that was no big deal. But the big deal was, did we have to hire a lawyer to do that for us? Yes, we did. So we had expenses involved that are totally unrecoverable from our insurance or anything else. And that's what happens in these lawsuits every day of the week. Every day of the week. So anybody who's experienced this to be an attorney for the Walt Disney Company sure as hell knows that. Sure as hell knows that happens. I'll be surprised if they don't eventually add to the John Does everybody who sold the restaurant the raw materials she was allergic to.
Well, that's a fair point.
Who will then come forward and say, "Well, see, here on our label, it says if you're allergic to this, you shouldn't eat it."
Sure.
Have you ever noticed when you get a prescription nowadays, it says counterindications or something, and the first thing says, "Don't take this if you're allergic to it." How do you know? But that's what it says, because they know that somebody somewhere is going to get a lawyer working on contingency who has nothing to lose to say, "Well, let's give it a shot. Maybe they'll pay us." And that's the real world. These people are totally and completely in another world.
Right.
Shame on them. Shame on them.
I completely 100% agree. And Disney has, like I said, and Dice Media Group brought it up, they have changed tack regarding this whole thing because it has just blown up in such a huge way. Disney waives arbitration.
It was destined to do the minute they stuck their stupid case out there.
You would think Disney waives arbitration analogy death at restaurant in Orlando Park. Matter can proceed in court. You see, deadline.
This is the equivalent of going up to Mike Tyson and sticking your chin out and saying, "You an ugly guy." I mean, this is the equivalent of standing in front of the train at Disney World and thinking it won't hit you. This is just dumb. And you want to know why this company's in trouble in so many ways? They got a lot of dumb people running it. And why do they have a lot of dumb people running it? Because they hired them based on their politics and their color and their sexual orientation, not on their competence.
That is, I can't.
When we saw those papers that came out, where people were being told in the movie division, we know your first instinct when you're hiring a production manager, the guy that's supposed to keep track of the money and make sure you don't overshoot and overspend. We know your immediate reaction is, "Well, I know so-and-so, and he's worked for me on 5 other films, and he's expert, and he'll do a good job." We say that shouldn't be your priority. Your priority should be what he represents. Or she, or whatever.
Well, but the thing is,
and the Gina case, you got somebody who's becoming a major star, and you got him under contract. When Favreau told her, "We're going to change your life," it wasn't just her life that was going to change. It was going to give Disney a big hit. And what did they do? "Oh, well, we don't like your beep bop boop, so we're going to do what we did. It doesn't matter that you're a huge asset to us that we're turning into a liability. It doesn't matter that we're putting you on a pedestal of abuse that everybody else will react to. That's irrelevant because we got to stay true to our principles. You got to go into a struggle session with 75 people to prove that you're worthy as a human being before we can let you dress up and play space cowboy, on camera for fun and profit. What kind of idiots do that? Not Lou Wasserman, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
Not L.B. Mayer. Not with the Warner Brothers.
Let me read this one part here, and I'm going to throw it to you, Bob, right here, because I really want to get your opinion on this. This is from Josh Imaro, by the way. This is the chairman of the Experiences Division, Parks Division. At Disney, we strive to put humanity above all other considerations, Disney Experiences chairman Josh Imaro said in a statement. With such unique circumstances as the one in this case, we believe the situation warrants a sensitive approach to expedite a resolution for the family who have experienced such a painful loss. So, maybe settlement? Nope. As such, we decided to waive our right to arbitration and have the matter proceed in court. Yeah. How do you respond like this? Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to comment on what Lou was talking about earlier, but it's not as relevant as this. So I'll stick to the topic. But here, they've lost so much face on this whole situation issue. I couldn't believe when they actually came out and said what they said. And it was like, are you kidding me? Like, you've got to be just out of your mind to say something like that. And but it's so funny. You read this comment, right? And this comment's like, he's trying to act so sincere, like, oh, above all consideration. No, you got blasted by the community, and everyone's upset with what you said and did originally. Not directly him, but now he's coming out, and it just sounds to me, this paragraph here, even though he's trying to sound sincere, it's very coming off as insincere. And it's like, well, we got caught saying something inappropriate, so we're just going to go ahead and let it go to court. There you go. Boom.
Because what he didn't say is what he should have said, which he might. Let's say Josh is the greatest guy in the world. I don't know him. And he went to Bob, who he has to go to on something like this, and said, look, Bob, let's put out the fire. Let me give the guy $10 million, and let me take that clause out of the user agreement for Disney Plus. And Bob and his lawyers said, oh, no, let's not overreact. This will blow over. Screw him. Mm-hmm. The one thing that would have made a difference PR-wise would have been, like you said, to settle the case and to change that relationship, that somehow if you sign for a free pass to watch a TV show, you're signing your life away, literally.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if, do you guys recall when the Dream Key got dismissed and they eliminated it and they brought in the Inspire?
Yep.
If you got the Inspire key, they actually put in terminology that if you were to renew and get the Inspire key, you were not eligible for the class action on the Dream Key. Of course, I just got my check, so it came that they abandoned that practice, but they threw that in. They threw that in there as well too.
I was not a part of the Dream Key.
And by the way, you publicly fired the Junior Birdman lawyer who came up with this strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a wonderful guy, but he overreacted and he acted without superior management signing off on it. So we've got to let him go. Sorry. What that guy did, whatever it turns out it was, and I'm sure we'll eventually know, what that guy did was worse for this company than whatever the hell Bo DeMayo did.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I mean, the PR hit has just been horrible for the Walt Disney Company. And the fact that they're not settling this.
Predicted it, Vash. That's the point. It doesn't take a genius of PR to understand how this is going to come out. I mean,
but why is this? Here's my thing. Okay, look, you've received the backlash, you've received the optics hit, all these things, right? But why do you still continue this? Why do you have this matter proceed in court? Why don't you actually say, hey, look, you know what? We're going to go ahead and make settlement arrangements in order to make sure that him and his family are taken care of. Why aren't you doing that? Why is it like, you know what? We expedite the resolution by taking it to court. But where it'll be, settled, maybe with a jury trial or maybe a judge's motion or something like that over the course of years. Come on, this is
their answer would be, because if we paid him, we're waving a red flag in front of a bull to every attorney out there who's chasing ambulances at Disney World. But the response to that is, so they're doing that anyway.
Exactly.
They are.
Exactly.
They're doing that anyway. You've got a big target on your back. It may be 3 circles instead of concentric, but that Mickey Mouse thing gives you a big target.
And some people have defended the company on this and saying, "Oh, look, they were caught in a bad situation or whatever."
They defend them because
or
they
now
always
everybody's
do,
gonna
because
come.
they want cupcakes.
Yeah. Well, apparently, it's like, come on, where's your guys' humanity here? Why are you defending the Faceless Corporation? Which, by the way, you could make an argument that they shouldn't be privy to the suit. Fine, okay, whatever. But make that argument. You don't do this whole song and dance through Disney Plus, and well, because you have
Well,
that,
now,
you get
wait
that
a
free
minute.
account. That precludes
Wait a minute.
you from suing
I'm going
us.
to tell you
It's
that the reason
ridiculous.
they didn't make the argument they shouldn't be party to it is that they've already lost it somewhere we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have come out in Discovery.
Yep. I agree.
Terrible story, but say love.
Anyway,
we'll
and
keep
it's
track
not
of
over.
it.
It'll now become a famous case.
Mm-hmm.
It's
We
not
will
gonna
keep
be
track
quite
of it.
Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, but it's going to be famous. Both because Disney's involved and in the annals of stupid ways to fight off a liability case. Law schools will teach not to do this.
Yes. This will be in all sorts of different seminars and whatnot. I used to go to a lot of HR seminars, and they would always bring up cases like this. So,
and I wouldn't be surprised, even though it's not being challenged as this now because of what Disney did. I wouldn't be surprised if legislation is passed that corrects the terms of services, and because this has been brought up.
Yeah, good
And
point.
by the way, we don't know what else is in all that fine print.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to start reading it before they sign. And anything that keeps you from signing on the dotted line and joining Disney Plus, whether it's having seen Acolyte and saying no thank you anymore, or this story or something else, every person who says, I might want to eat somewhere that they're involved someday, and God forbid I get sick, I think I'll avoid this.
The company's telling you.
Times 10, times 100. The power of many to say no.
We're going to talk about the power of many in a moment, but I just want to leave off on this. Yeah, don't become a human centipede. Read those those terms of service, those TOSs, those EULAs, because man, oh man, who knows what you're actually agreeing to. But on happier news right here, man, I am overjoyed that this actually occurred, because could we just stop the L's? Report: Leslie Headland's The Acolyte canceled after abysmal finale ratings. Here by That Park Place, John F. Trent. Now, did Marty, Bob, did you guys watch The Acolyte at all?
I didn't give it a single moment of my time. To be honest.
So no. I think I mentioned in a previous episode we had that I had decided not to. Well, I was going to watch it, and then I decided not to watch it. I did catch a couple episodes, but let's put it this way: it wasn't worth my time, so I didn't watch anything after that. I just said, the heck with it. And this is what I was looking forward to. Now, look, maybe I didn't give the whole entire time to it, like Marty, but I didn't feel like it needed to. And to be honest with you, Star Wars is going down the what hole quick, and it's really, really sad, because it's one of my favorite franchises. It has been ever since 1977, and to see that they keep coming out with this junk in Star Wars is disheartening. So the fact that they actually canceled it. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I act a little giddy? Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
I am.
This is
my with a 6-year-old. My television time is very valuable. I need to make sure that it's worth it for the amount of time that I actually can watch something that maybe he shouldn't watch or something right. And and I don't know if it was appropriate for him or not, but I didn't see a single decent review for this thing the first 2 weeks it came out. And so I'm like, I kind of binge stuff. So if I didn't see it the first week or second week, I have no problem watching 3 in a row. But by that point, I was just out, man. There was nothing good being said about it.
Well, not only
This
that, but
was-
so many people were covering it that you didn't need to see it. And to
Right.
be honest with you, with that Park Place and every place else, it was like, oh, great, I've got all my information here,
Right.
and I don't need to watch this. So
It was a terrible show. I can tell you right now, having lived through it, having experienced the pain firsthand, this was a terrible, terrible show. And it was $180 million at minimum. Who knows what the actual final amount actually is? A new report details that Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company canceled Leslie Headland's The Acolyte series in the wake of Nielsen reporting the season finale had abysmal viewership numbers. Deadline's Nelly Andriva reports the story of The Acolyte will not continue, with Lucasfilm opting not to proceed with the second season of the Star Wars offshoot starring Amanda Stenberg. Sources tell Deadline. This report comes in the wake of Nielsen releasing its data for the week of Acolyte's series finales aired. This show only managed to garner 335 million minutes watched. That was less than the 2-episode premiere, which brought in 488 million minutes watched. Both of those very, very bad. Nielsen's viewership reflects a significant decline in reviewers per episode. I'm sure you meant viewers per episode on the series on IMDb. Reviewers. The first episode received 26,000 reviews, while the finale only received 11,000. Do apologize. Not only did the show receive poor viewership, but those who did watch did not like it. The show has a 4.1 out of 10, with a plurality 45.8% of all reviews being 1 of 10. This was a terribly reviewed show. I understand, there were critics who said it was decent, at least. I believe 70% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics, but not so much from the audience. That is what I think 13%, something like that, something crazy low. I believe the finale in that Deadline article, I believe Andriva actually says that the finale's numbers were the worst of any Star Wars show out there, which is I mean, that's a list right there. What is this here? This report also confirms a rumor from WW Pro, who indicated that Lucasfilm would not be moving forward with the show at the end of July. That report was accurate, obviously, because they are not going forward with this at all. This was good money after bad right here. Acolyte had no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Yes, it left a couple of cliffhangers, it featured a couple of iconic characters and so forth, characters from lore, obviously, but that's not enough to go forward with a show like this. This was a big expense on the Walt Disney Company. And now the question really becomes, are they going to willow this thing? Do you get your views in Acolyte right now before this thing is taken off the platform permanently and they take that impairment fee? Guys, do you think that they get rid of this in the same way that they did Willow, or does it just stay there, pulling down the whole brand?
Absolutely.
No.
They're going to get rid of this like Willow.
They want it to go away forever and ever. Amen. They look. Let's please, guys. The ratings, the viewings, the minutes, the reviews, all well and good. The only thing that matters about a Disney Plus show is, does it grow the membership? Or in this case, does it shrink it? For people waiting for this with anticipation because it was well promoted and saying, well, if this is good, maybe they'll do something else. And are those people now saying, nope, click it off, buy the Bluey discs off of Amazon for $20 and call it a day, and my kids will be happy. And
that was going to be my point, Lou. With this expense, how much would it cost to buy Bluey in 2019 or 2020?
Well, but I'm just saying,
song and dance for
it's
Bluey.
the only box office that matters is that membership number. That's all that matters. The rest of it is all just numbers. And so it doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter which, it doesn't matter who liked it and who didn't. It doesn't matter that there were people who were promoting it. What matters is the dogs wouldn't eat the food.
Well, also advertising revenue as well.
Eventually.
If
I came to you and you were, I don't know, Coca-Cola or Goodyear tires or whoever, and I said, listen, I have a bargain. We have a special of the week going on today. You know how you normally pay us X million dollars for advertising? What if you could do it for 50 cents? Oh, I'm very interested. What's the show?
Mm-hmm.
The act stop. They'd get that far. They'd get the first syllable out of their mouth before they said, I'm sorry,
Wow.
but I don't want to be associated with it. I don't want to be famous among advertising executives in industry as the schmuck that took that terrible deal. I just don't. Sorry. You're making me look bad personally if I do that. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is.
And I know that Kathleen Kennedy was, the big, one behind this because, she really liked the High Republic. But the High Republic was a brand that was not very well liked by a lot of people. It didn't do very well. And then they go, hey, let's turn it into, a show called The Acolyte. And then you had all these, you could tell from the telltale signs from the beginning when they announced that they were going to make The Acolyte. All the rumors that were coming out were pretty much true about how bad it was going to be, how bad the cast was. Not everyone was bad, but most of the cast. You got a director that, a lot of people, really don't care for, who is trying to throw in, ideas and ideals that, don't coincide with Star Wars whatsoever. And then you got this, they spent millions and millions of dollars. In fact, there's probably more. I know we're saying 180. I guarantee you it's more than that. And, the rumors are out there that, Kathleen Kennedy was moving money around to put money into this thing. But the fact is, it's like it's failed so badly. But we've had other failures, with Lucasfilm. And yet Kathleen still stays there and nothing has been done about it. And it's getting to the point where I'm like, how much more do we need to take before we get rid of Kathleen? And how much more do we need to take before no one cares about Lucasfilm anymore? It's sad.
No, but see, it's all personal with these people. If you get rid of her overtly, as opposed to her just shuffling off into retirement, give her a party, give her an award. If you say, we picked the wrong person and this is proof, who did that? It isn't her fault. You picked her. You picked her. It all reflects back to that guy on top who's never wrong. Who never imagines he could be wrong. Who's got a board full of people who are supposed to say to him, yeah, but what if you're wrong? And no, not to say that, or they won't be on the board anymore.
Yep.
This thing, wouldn't you now love to have been a fly on the wall when Leslie made her pitch to Kathleen?
Oh.
And what if that pitch was 5 minutes long and she said, well, what we have is lesbian witches who prove that the Jedi are all the bad guys.
It's Frozen meets Kill Bill.
Oh, geez.
Just pops off the screen there. No, that's an actual quote from Leslie Headland. That's what she said. Another quote from Leslie Headland was actually during that New York Times interview, said that if this fails, it'll be because of me. So, Leslie, you can go ahead and add your name to the list of just failed Star Wars project leaders who have just taken this brand and just thrust it into the ground.
Can we make a club for people that Disney has backed who have self-destructed? Leslie, Rachel, we could go on Bo.
Ryan Johnson.
Well, there you go.
The failure of many is what we can call it.
Yeah, of many.
By the way, the salt mines are open right here, people. Very upset.
There you go.
Yeah, the salt mines. Yeah. Salt mines are open, folks. And for there are many people who are languishing in the fact that this show was canceled. But boy, oh boy, you're kind of on an island. Twitter isn't real life, and nobody was watching this show, especially after episode 3, I believe. It just completely fell off any chart whatsoever right here. You already have people like IndieWire here. The Acolyte tried something new. Its cancellation doesn't bode well for the future of Star Wars.
Something new, huh?
Well, that's the problem.
Television? Bad television is not new. I hate to break it to this guy.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly. Poor writing, poor acting, poor cast. Just poor direction. everything was very bad about this show right here. So keep crying, I suppose. But hey, when you deliver a great Star Wars product, we will be the first here at That Park Place and That Park Place Network to give it the seal of approval. We just haven't seen much of good come out of Star Wars since Lucasfilm has been acquired by Disney, and that's a very, very sad state of affairs. That's for sure. By the way, what's not so sad? Hawaii Dragon Star with the $5. Thank you so much. Walt and his bro was all into quality and treating customers and cast members in great ways. When and who had Disney drop this? We know why.
By the way, they didn't do that because they were paragons of virtue. They did it because that was how you made money.
Right.
That was how you got more lettuce to make another movie. Treating your customers with respect and not with contempt was a simple, expedient policy to have more business. These people don't have a clue nowadays. They just don't.
It's so bad.
The,
so
the
disheartening.
selling proposition, I'm smarter than you are, and I know what you should like more than you do. So just listen to me, sit down, shut up, and spend money, is probably not going to make you much.
Well, Marty, I mean, you remember the days of the white glove treatment, right? And your experience attempting to navigate the Walt Disney World website, for example, right? In order to book your trip that you have coming soon to Walt Disney World, how has that experience been like? It's different, right?
Well, first of all, I spent a good amount of time learning Lightning Lane, and that got thrown out the window. Relearn a whole new thing. Like, I'm going in November, and I'm like, man, like, so, and I mean, there's just crazy stuff. Like, next week, I'm spending 4 days at the Grand California Villas with my in-laws. My mother-in-law suffers from Parkinson's, and we're having a hard time, like, getting, like, we don't know if we can get gas for her, how that's going to go. And this is a park that I know, like, the back of my hand. Like, this is my local park, and just everything just dealing with this is crazy. But yeah, the whole Disney World thing, that's nuts, man. I had to watch Braden's Mickey Views video on how to navigate the new multi-pass and
are you flying to Florida?
We're flying, and we don't have a vehicle that we're renting. Guess what?
I was going to say the airlines suck too.
Well, that's hopeful, Lou.
The world is a carousel of sucky.
So we're
sucky.
We're showing up there, and because we're staying at the boardwalk, we don't plan on necessarily needing a vehicle.
I love the boardwalk. Last time I was there, which is years ago, it's a great place. But then they took that cute, charming boardwalky lounge at the top of the stairs there as you go to the right off the lobby, and somebody from Gensler replaced the furniture with bad, ugly stuff. Because God forbid we should have something that's themed here. We should make it look like every other hotel lobby. But I had good service there, so I hope it's still good. And by the way, Flying Fish is still, I think, one of the best restaurants at Disney World, bar none. So definitely eat there. And that Abracadabra lounge next to it for the drinks first is fun. It's a good place to wait for your table and enjoy a drink.
We're definitely looking forward to it, but there's a lot of stuff that, like, I mean, there's like just the fact that the bus situation from the hotel got discontinued. Like, there's not a lot. Like, there's a whole there's a timeline on YouTube when I'm sitting there doing research that I just can't even go to anymore because they got rid of that stuff 2 years ago.
Yeah, and you sit there going, well, who made that decision? Who decided that was an economical decision for them to make? Let's see. Right. We could have people from the minute they step off the plane be totally sucked into our orbit, unable to deal with anybody else or spend a dime anywhere else, or we could let them find their own way. What if they get lost and wind up at Universal? Oops. I mean, I don't care if those buses cost them $100 million a year, which they certainly didn't.
Right.
There is no good financial decision in that possible.
There's a bad cut. It didn't make any sense.
Stupid.
Terrible. It was all about the bubble. It was all about
they
keeping
understand the
property.
power of man buses because every time Epic puts out a new announcement, they do a new wrap.
It's so weird every single time.
They love the idea
we're happy
of
to have you see our buses from the outside, but we're not happy to have you get on one for free on the inside and come spend your money with us.
They love the idea of a bubble, like especially out here. Like you're in the bubble. Security's outside downtown Disney. You're in the bubble, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had a bubble at Orlando's airport, and they got rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Marty, I wanted to go ahead and ask you, what's been going on with Disney security lately? Because I've heard some horror stories coming out of there for the last couple of days. People stuck in lines for like an hour trying to get through security at like some random night at 9 p.m. What's going on?
So it's bad, man. I've been avoiding the Mickey and Friends security system because they put in that system where and I go to the park with $2,000 worth of camera equipment, and when I go there and it's in one bag, so they put in a situation where you go there, you give them the bag, and now instead of me opening it up and opening the bag up and everything, they do all that on the other side of a piece of plexiglass, and they're handling equipment that they don't know the way the bag opens. I can't open it and show them, I'm more than happy to open it up and just show it to them, and then they can go through it or whatever. But they're doing it, and they dropped one of my cameras. Luckily, it was an action camera, so yeah. So it's it was more rugged than some of my other cameras, because they opened the bag upside down, that my camera bag. So I've been because of that.
Something in a disclaimer in the fine print you signed somewhere that
probably my Disney Plus, Lou, says they can't replace my action camera. But so
Did you watch The Acolyte? Yes, sir. Why? Well, I got more bad news.
I can't do anything about it. Right. Bob, you were just about to say something there.
Well, I didn't mean to cut Marty off, but Marty, I've had kind of that issue as well. So what I do now is before I even let the bag go behind the plexiglass, there's that little edge on the table. I already have my bag kind of like the zippers undone, and what I do is I kind of rip my bag open real quick, and I immediately take out my gimbal case and anything else that might be kind of sensitive. I take those out and I open them up for them. I show it to them. They allow me to put it back in the bag, and then they go through the rest of the bag, and then they go through. That's been very helpful. But like you were saying, you said this on a previous podcast on T3PO that you were going over to downtown Disney because they didn't have the plexiglass, but now they got the plexiglass.
Now they got it.
It's worse over there. I'm finding
it is.
Over at downtown Disney than it is over at Mickey and Friends. So I'm like, what is going on?
You're absolutely
experience the other day.
And to make things worse, when we've done that the last 2 times, you're in the full sun. Like there's no shade. So you're in the full sun, and it goes all the way back through the concrete. If anyone's familiar, a lot of times it goes 3/4 of the way right to the edge of the Stitch parking lot. So it's like you're talking hundreds of people in front of you at this particular line, because, and it's really bad because they haven't opened up the Disneyland hotel side. The other there's a side that's in between ESPN and Rainforest that we all know, but there is, there's always been the ESPN side and the stage that they put in place, the Simba parking lot, and they cut that off. And like that used to be a little gem, because like if you know, but if you don't, so we would always just go around to the other side, and you're getting in that way. But they've installed this system now in both places. And again, like from what I've always heard, the union fought off the Walt Disney World touchless scanner system, and we had it for a week and a half, and they were running that thing 2 years ago, and they fought it off.
You know what I'd really love to know, and we never will. You know how the TSA has to tell people, because they're a government agency, when they run these checks and they try and put a gun through, and how many times do they catch it and how many times do they not catch it? I wonder if they've ever actually, by changing these systems, found more stuff than they were finding anyway, or found anything that was that dangerous. I
don't know.
In other words, you measure these things by results, and if they're not getting the results, it's purely kabuki, you know?
Yeah, but I will tell you, like, I love the whole touchless thing. That is great. Knott's Berry Farm has it. The problem is that now Knott's, and I think I talked about this, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I went to go through Knott's Berry Farm, and because they've become Six Flags Entertainment, a lot of people have quit. They're not properly training everyone. So now they make you take all of your metal and sensitive stuff out of your backpack, put them into a one of those plastic bins. They put that off to the side. They never go through any of that stuff, which you'd think they would. And then you have to hand your backpack through the actual scanner that you go, or metal detector again, to make sure there's nothing in there. The process has slowed down, and it's gotten worse. And I'm going back on Thursday, so we'll see how it is, because I'm going for the Knott's Berry Farm, the Knott's Berry Farm preview.
I wonder,
makes me worry.
What if someday, and I hate to be too frivolous, but I'm really not being it, you put all this together. What if 10, 15 years from now, somebody is trying to have a baby, and they go to their doctor and it's not working, and it turns out, standing in all these security lines, being exposed to the radiation, can you sue them, or is that part of your Disney Plus prohibition too?
It might be part of your Disney Plus prohibition there. But it is one of those things where it's like, look, okay, I understand Disney, they were against, the baggage scanners like you would see at the airport. Universal obviously embraced them. Universal Studios Hollywood, that is. Can't do the full body scanners like you do at Walt Disney World. Like you said, Marty, unions, all this kind of stuff. I mean, at this point, it's like, why don't you just do the baggage scanners like they do at Universal? If it's going to take like an hour to get through, I understand the unions. But is there any way to get around that?
I'll be honest, like it fascinates me that Universal has the airport style metal detector things where you put on a conveyor belt and it goes through. You put your bag in there. So I got all my camera equipment in my backpack. I got my tripods and all that. It goes through, and boom, I take off on the other side of it, right? But then you get to the gate at Universal, and my fingerprint never works.
Doesn't work, yeah.
Everybody's backed up, and I'm like, man, can the two companies talk to each other? Like, can we get the baggage check at one side, and then can we get like a PAT scan or a phone scan on the other side?
If you look at some of these things that Alicia Stella and BioReconstruct and others have done on Epic Universe, the security area at the main gate is astoundingly small. And when you figure the volume of people that are going to go through there, they've got something figured out, or they couldn't make it that small. They just have to. It's scary small. It's like, what? That's it? Unless you want like lines 50 people wide by 5,000 people deep out into the parking lot forever, which I can't imagine that they're planning on, because guess what? When you're standing in that line, you're not spending any money. You're not getting a cold drink. You're not riding on a ride. You're not buying a T-shirt. You're doing nothing but standing and getting unhappy. And the happiest place on earth doesn't want you unhappy, or at least it used to be that they didn't.
I think it's also interesting. We got Wizard in the chat, and I remember he was saying that like Universal might have plans to put in the checkpoints, like security checkpoints, at the parking lots, and so that's just going to make things all so much more smoother too. Like if you're getting them on different, maybe different levels, or you got
plus they have
stuff.
to have one at the Helios Hotel to come in that gate.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I can tell you right now, Lou, the hotel that is going to be propped up next to the entrance to the Universal Studios Hollywood, super cool, super awesome. It's going to change that whole resort, and through innovations like doing it at the parking garages instead of at the point of entry there at Universal Studios Hollywood, all those things will improve the guest experience tremendously and make for a safer environment. Obviously, that bubble will be extended right there. It's just, I just don't see Disney doing the same thing there. They just seem to be content with
They
how
will be
things are.
dragged kicking and screaming to do it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I told my wife the last time. I said, I cannot believe they made it worse because it was not good before, and
Right.
Yeah.
and they somehow made it worse.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I know.
So sad. Okay, so we have 2 more topics, but we only have time for really one. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it to you guys right here. You want to cover Frontierland in Walt Disney World or Peter Pan?
Oh, Peter Pan.
Yeah, let's cover Peter Pan.
Frontierland,
Good.
we've done to
Peter
death
Pan.
already, haven't we, in one way or another? I mean,
That's a fair point.
literally, unfortunately, they're going to do it to death someday. But
Well, they first
What?
came for aspects of Pirates of the Caribbean.
right.
They then came for Splash Mountain. Now they're coming for Peter Pan. Well, technically, I've already gotten to it. We started hearing rumblings of this, obviously, from the Stories Matter initiative. But even after that point in time, back in February 2021. So yeah, that actually predates the Story Matters initiative. At least the knowledge that we had from it by a little bit. But will Peter Pan's flight be the next attraction to receive inclusion changes? Is obviously following in the wake of Splash Mountain. Then a little bit later, Blog Mickey with an update here right here, August 1st, 2022, Disney World removes the Indian camp reference at Peter Pan's flight in Magic Kingdom. Okay, fair enough. And now we have a completely new scene in the Peter Pan's flight at the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Native American scene updated at Peter Pan's flight following refurbishment. We have a new update for this story as well, but I kind of wanted to throw it to you guys. I've seen people kind of split on this for one reason or another. It's something that we, here at that park place, we kind of knew this was coming, at least eventually. But now here it is, the full scene that has been installed over there at the Magic Kingdom's Peter Pan's flight attraction right here. This is the old scene, and now this is the new one.
Wait,
what do you guys think about this?
Because this dance is something authentic. Fancy shawl butterfly dance by the fire. Has it occurred to anybody that Neverland is not on Earth? And therefore, they might have different tribes than we do?
I mean, it's supposed to be.
I hate to bring it up, but.
Well, no, I think it's a fair point because it's supposed to be the imagination of a child's view of, Neverland with these. The incorporation of these elements, right? This goes back to Cowboys and Indians kind of thing, and obviously pirates are not the actual pirates that existed back then. It's a fantasy-like version of them from a kid's perspective. So does that change things? What do you guys think?
All I know
Don't answer all at once.
I'm not. I mean, it's hard for me to say because it's not our Peter Pan on the West Coast.
It will
that's
be
being affected, and it will be. You're right. You're exactly right. It's going to be because
to that story.
Yeah, because there's
Right
so
here.
much broke in that ride. Yeah,
And
so
Marty,
it will be.
they'll charge it against the $60 billion.
That's true right there. So Luke caught it right here. Britt Tuttle breaking from Disneyland News Today. Disneyland to update Neverland tribe scene on Peter Pan's flight. This from the Orange County Register reporting. Disneyland News Today reporting on them.
Cultural
Go ahead, Marty.
sensitivity changes.
I mean, the last couple times I've been on the ride, on our side, the scene's been completely blacked out. Like the lights don't work on it, the projections don't work. They're gonna have to do something eventually with it. It just sucks seeing so much original stuff being taken out, so much of the original dream, and we're seeing it all over the place. I mean, you guys have covered multiple shows now in the last 2 weeks on stuff being ripped out and removed.
All I know is when I hear it, Vash, you said it 4 or 5 times introducing this, the Stories Matter initiative. I want you to do it with a black leather coat and an eye patch. Some people had an idea, the Stories Matter initiative, like the Avengers initiative, I mean, it's just It's just so. I'm sorry. It's the politically correct SS. That's all.
Well,
Mm.
it is.
And
And to me, look, I have no problems.
Cultural
Look,
vandalism.
You want to, put your DEI stuff. I get it, but this is something this is something that Walt worked on, right? This is a Peter Pan movie, and this was their take on it and their animation. And I agree with Lou. This is set in a fictional setting. This is not supposed to be, inappropriate in any way. But they've come in and said, you know what, let's go ahead and redo this scene that was never really quite in the movie with characters that weren't in the movie, and everything will be fine because now it's culturally sensitive. And it's like, no, it's stupid, it's dumb, you guys shouldn't be doing it. Don't play with stuff that doesn't need to be played with.
Between this and what was the other thing they did recently? All I know is, you think this is the end? We're going to have Captain Prosthesis.
I'm absolutely
Captain Prosthesis in Peter Pan.
I'm absolutely shocked that we still have some of the scenes that we have on our Rivers of America.
Oh yeah,
that's a good point, right there.
Look, they got rid of the burning cabin, so they did do that. Unfortunately,
that's a longer story, of course.
Yeah, I know.
You remember the first iteration of the burning cabin scene?
Oh yeah,
it's supposed to be attacked by natives.
And I've told the story back before Fantasmic. There used to be this thing where if you ask the guys at Mark Twain, what time is the fireworks cruise? And the Twain would go back there right around where the Indian village is and stop. And they would turn off all the lights and they would play the music for the fireworks show through the Twain speakers. And you'd watch the fireworks from almost under them back there. And it was great. Mm-hmm. But while you were waiting, because everything else was off, they didn't turn off the village. And I swear to God, the words that they were singing sounded like, go away, go away, go away, way. It was, like the everybody cabin. Used to laugh about it. But
the first iteration of this scene was supposed to be attacked by Native Americans, and obviously they did change that from its original depiction, and obviously got rid of the flames and so forth for environmental reasons and so forth. But
and the plastic billowing lights for the flames and the wax apples for the moonshiner. And instead of having an arrow in him, he was just snoring because he was sleeping off a bender.
Right.
And, there's the still. See over on the right with the long tube coming out of it.
Yep.
I've wondered for a while how long the cigar statues.
Yes, Chimberly.
Right.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, Captain Prosthesis is coming to scare us all into our...
It's a fair point. There's Tiger Lily right there from the original Disneyland's.
So I'm making it a point every single time we go that that I make sure that my son goes and goes to the firing range, the shooting gallery, because that's another thing that I'm like, man, in 2-3 years. That may be DVC.
They're going to yank it and turn it into DVC. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
well, the Magic Kingdom version, yes. The Disneyland version apparently is going to remain in place. But
remember,
to Marty's point,
who knows?
For how long?
There used to be two way back when.
Yep.
Yes, the Frontierland one and the Adventureland one.
That's correct. That is correct. So you have to wonder how long these things are going to be with us. It's why I try to, take in all this stuff as much as possible. We know that Lincoln's going to be heavily modified in order to allow Walt in the in that same space there, and so they can turntable as well. We're just losing a lot of stuff now, not as much as Magic Kingdom. My goodness, they're losing all of Rivers of America. But you're right, Marty. What happens to the Native Americans on the back half of Rivers of America if these things are supposed to take place? I guess my problem with the scene is, one, they don't actually look like the Native Americans from the actual movie, which I suppose is fine. But the men look a little dopey there, and then the women are obviously empowered in this scene. So there's definitely a messaging in that. I just don't know if it was the best executed that it could possibly be. I suppose
by the way, it occurs to me: have any of you ever seen the musical of Peter Pan? The one that Sandy Dennis and a lot of other Kathy Rigby did, and. There's this song about friendship, about I remember Tiger Lily, I remember Peter Pan, and we're It was all about harmony. It was all about friendship. So, I know a place where dreams are born and time is never planned, called Never Never Land, and I'm afraid that's becoming true.
Yep.
It's so sad. It is really sad.
Can't we do something happy before we go away today? I don't know.
Well, let's see here. Let me see if I have any other stories that we could possibly wrap up on. Well, okay. There's the one actually from the wrap. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Well, you did hear. I wish I had the tweet in front of me, but there was somebody on Twitter who was suggesting that maybe the offices of the animation building were maybe relocating. At least his office was, and maybe that has something to do with the D23 announcements. This refers, obviously, to folks listening out there. This refers to the Monsters Incorporated land that is supposed to be making its way into Disney's Hollywood Studios. And a lot of people have been asking, well, where is that exactly going to go? Is it going to take the place of the Muppets? Drew Taylor from The Wrap actually wrote out a big article saying that, hey, look, listen, this wasn't the chopping block at one point. It still could be. We should, you should be more vocal about resisting this change. Well, Pro has been reporting that, I guess, executives at Walt Disney World and Experiences division in general, they've been taken aback by how much backlash there actually has been for these announcements. And, well, the subsequent news of where they might actually go. In fact, actually, I believe we have a clip right here from fans asking where these things are going to go.
Where? Where, Dwight?
Seems like you already know where.
Please don't have it be the Muppets. Please don't have it be the Muppets. Is the question right there. Apparently, we have been hearing maybe that is not going to be the case. Maybe Muppets isn't going to be the landing spot for this. Maybe it might be Animation Courtyard. Again, we're still trying to track down the story and make sure we can confirm it for all of you. But there has been momentum pulling maybe the Muppets out of the equation and putting something else in its place. Also, too, I believe, I don't have the article up right now, but Josh Gad actually came out, famous Disney legend, plays Olaf in Frozen, came out and said, hey, Muppets are an institution. We should actually keep them around. What is going on here? So, this story is becoming, very popular in the media right now. It's been gaining some traction, and hopefully that means that we can keep the Muppets for at least a couple more years. I know Disney has not treated the Muppets well in years past, but can we please at least keep the one, Jim Henson's last official project? Can't we please keep it on the table, at least in some location? We've already lost our DCA. Can we keep it in Disney's Hollywood Studios? Hopefully that is the case. Guys like the Muppets, you supportive of this idea? Where do you think Monsters Inc. is going to land?
With a thud somewhere.
Well,
but the obvious thing to take out, if you're going to take anything out, sadly, is the Indy stunt show.
That's what I said.
Because you're going to have Indy in Animal Kingdom.
Right.
A franchise you have killed, you don't need two of, I don't think.
And we know that labor costs.
It's all based around the original movie, which
sure.
if your grandson, who's never seen any of them, says, "Well, I want to see the new one because that's my generation," and watches that terrible, awful movie, and you say, "But the first one was better," he's going to say, "I don't care. I don't care." So that's the one that's the most out of touch with the current, the next generation of fans, I guess you'd call it.
Fair point.
Well, I agree, but if you get rid of Indiana Jones, that's a high capacity show that you're now putting out, and
but
now
they've proven they don't care. Look at all the things. This word expansion that they keep using over and over.
Oh my God, it's embarrassing because it's not an expansion; it's a replacement.
It's replacement.
It's a replacement with smaller capacity. And you have no capacity while you're taking 5-6 years to build this smaller capacity.
Right. Well,
I mean,
and
as old and staid as the stuff in Communicore was, an empty hall is staider and older. A stage that you do a show on 4 times a day or whatever it is less. Anyway, we all know this.
I mean, what they've done with the Muppets is just criminal in general.
Yeah.
I mean, my son used to watch the new generated cartoon, and the whole reason, and it was popular, on Disney Junior. The reason it went away was because the guy who created Muppet Babies, brought that to Jim Henson. Jim Henson went into a partnership with him and sat there and said, "Oh, let's develop this, okay, and then you're going to get this cut." Disney buys the Muppets. Jim Henson's out, and then they release this, and the guy goes, "Wait, my deal is still in place. This is still my idea." And they sat there and said, "No, it's not. We own the Muppets. You don't own any of this." And he's like, "But this idea was mine. I had a partnership with Jim." And then they just said, "Well, we just won't make it no more."
And by the way, don't eat at Raglan Road. I'm just warning you right now.
All right. Well, the thing is that Jim, he had handshake agreements and so forth with people, and that when he passed away so suddenly, that left a lot of things open. I believe even Drew Taylor's article actually goes into that. Great read, folks, if you don't know the history of the Muppet Vision 3D and those last final moments of Jim Henson's great legacy.
And we could put that article in the chat so people can find it, the link to it.
Yep. I will. Let me go ahead and leave that in the chat right there. You can go ahead and read up yourself. Also, too, the great the great Muppet movie ride would have been such a cool addition to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Oh, it would have been so great.
I mean, just look at very if you want an idea of what the Muppets mean to people, just look at very, very recent situations. Which one did better? Had more fan approval? The Muppet Haunted Mansion movie on Disney Plus, or the one that they released in the movie theaters?
Yeah, with big stars.
Mhm.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
No, go ahead, Vash. I'll chime in.
No. I was going to say it's
Have you?
so sad.
I forget, Vash. Has the genre guys on the Muppets come to this channel yet? From
Yes,
Pro?
Yes.
And that
The
has
great
Marvin as our puppet expert, or pardon me, Floral, Steve.
Floral from Under a Rock.
Host.
That is correct.
And
Coming.
some fascinating stuff about Henson, about how it all happened.
Let me see if I can find my thumbnail for that, because if you guys haven't seen that, it's a great listen to. I don't think it's that one. It is the last week's one.
That picture
Here
of
we
all of them
go.
on the bicycles.
Oh, it's such a great episode of the Genre Guys. If you guys haven't seen it, it's so good.
There you go.
I really loved Floral Stories and so forth, going into that and how inspired, or I should say, Floral from Under Rock, Steve's experiences with this and his inspiration from Jim Henson from the Muppets. It was really cool. So if you guys love Muppets, Muppet stock, Muppet stuff, definitely subscribe to this channel. You can find it in our videos. Very good listen to indeed. But Lou, besides the Genre Guys, what else do you have going on?
Well, we must remind people that for the next 2 weeks, because of your voyaging around the globe,
Yep.
we're going to be doing our show, yours and mine, the Backlot with Lou and you and you and you and you, on Saturdays at 2 instead of Sundays at 2 for the next 2 weeks only. So we'll give the football fans a break in the process, I guess. But anyway, we just had another great one here Sunday. And, I know it says Hollywood Backlot, but we go everywhere on this show.
We do. I think we went to Russia.
Well, we went to Russia this time. A week ago, we were at the Queen Mary. And,
Vegas.
Vegas. Well, Vegas is Hollywood, sort of. It's, it's not in the zone, but it is in the mindset.
Absolutely.
But anyway, yeah, we do that, and then of course I'm here, and all the other places that I wander into. But that show is our greatest pleasure together, you and I, and we talk about stuff and we answer your questions live in the chat. So you want to be there. Plus, we have an email address where you can send any of your questions about how Hollywood actually works versus how you've been told. There it is. T3P online at yahoo.com.
Yep.
And then, of course, the Genre Guys is this show that I do with Lauren and Angry Tables. And this week, actually, we're going to be recording a new one with Marvin, the movie monster, as our special guest. We're going to do the original Superman on Saturday night.
Nice.
So, but those shows premiere on the Pro Channel for members only.
Yep.
So any of you who might have, we have so many generous people who give 5, 10, 20 memberships or even one. If you got one of those memberships to the Pro Channel, you have a whole bunch of these now that you can watch that you couldn't before. But eventually, what is it, 2 months or 3 months? I would lose track.
3 months.
3 months after they premiere as members only on the Pro Channel, they come here, and you don't have to be a member, although it would be nice. And there's Master and Commander, which is the most recent one. And that was a great movie.
Such a great film. Such an outstanding Genre Guys as well. Definitely keep track of that, guys. Like Lou said, after 90 days, they will be making its way here. So that is very, very cool.
And when
Definitely
you see the thumbnails, you can see that gray Ferris wheel that'll tell you that they're yours, even if you're not a member on the other side. So there's your secret code.
Fair point. Bob, what do you got going on? I know you vlog occasionally in maybe like a park like Disneyland or something like that. I think you do something like that, but maybe you can go ahead and tell the fine people at home where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me at BarryPlays28 on X, YouTube, Instagram, what else? TikTok. And typically I'm usually at Disneyland a couple days a week and maybe Knott's every once in a while because of the hours. Well, they've changed our hours again. So during the week, I can't do it. However, this week I will be at Knott's for the Not Scary Farm preview, which will be cool. So from basically about, I think I'm going to start the stream a little before 7 p.m. and it goes till 10 p.m. And basically we are going to see all the new things. They have a couple new mazes that are coming out. We'll learn about those, learn about the scare zones and some of the new food and things they're going to be doing for Not Scary Farm. So if you'd like to come check it out. Yes.
I hope they're not doing a redo of that show they did with, what's her name?
Elvira?
Yeah, the one that got him in trouble a little bit, and rightly so.
Well, I don't know. We will find out.
Good.
Well, she's coming back this year, but it's going to be a meet and greet type thing and the history of all of her shows and whatnot type thing. So we're going to get all the details, but we'll find out what they're doing on Thursday. Ooh. So come hang out with me because that's my next stream and it should be a lot of fun. So if you guys haven't had a chance to come to Barry Plays 28, please come check it out, as well as my other podcast on Park Streamers on Monday. We're going to do another Park Streamers and we'll be talking about some of the haunt stuff, including Not Scary Farm. So,
where's the best place for Halloween now? What's the best park, do you think, Bob? You've been traveling around quite a bit during this time.
So look, I mean, they're all kind of different, right? I mean, Oogie Boogie Bash is it's very family friendly, not very scary. So that's a great place to go with young kids. I like Hollow Scream, but Hollow Scream in San Diego is not as good as Orlando. Unfortunately, it's good, but it's pretty subpar. Not Scary Farm is the classic, and it's my go-to, and that's why I love it so much. They've done a great job over the years, but Halloween Horror Nights is still, I think, my favorite, just because they're a movie company. They've done a lot of great things, but it's gotten so expensive that they almost price you out of that whole experience. So my all around is Not Scary Farm still.
Do you guys know whether now that they're all merged together, the Six Flags parks are going to do more Halloween-y stuff, and B, when does the thing in Vegas for Universal open?
Don't know. They've announced the date for Universal for Halloween Horror Nights in Las Vegas, but I do know that with Six Flags, actually, they've got a bunch of new IPs this year for the Halloween haunts. They've raised the prices, obviously, because of it. They've got things like Stranger Things now over there, which is kind of crazy. So they've upped their game over at Six Flags. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it over to the Fright Fest over there at Six Flags this year. I'm hoping. But there's so many that I'm going to be covering this year. I mean, I'm going to Hollow Scream. I'm definitely going to Oogie Boogie Bash. I'm definitely going to Not Scary Farm. I'm going to do Halloween Horror Nights. If I get a chance, I'll do Fright Fest. And then I think we're going to try to do maybe a couple local Halloween haunts that would be kind of cool that are not theme parks. I think that would be neat. So come hang out with us at Berry Place 28. It's a lot of fun.
I remember years ago going to one of the local church in Beverly Hills, and it was this scene. You walked in and they had everybody sit down. And it was like an electric chair. But what they didn't tell you was the bench you were sitting on was wired. So as the girl in the electric chair was faking her movements, you had real ones. That was a little unusual.
Ooh, it is busy over there at Disneyland. My goodness gracious.
I checked out the building that they were in Vegas because I went to the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
And so I checked out the bit, and they had the building up and going. So
that's why I thought it would be soon, because they don't have to start from ground up. The building is already there.
It should be 2025, I guess, is the tentative date that they've actually given out. So it shouldn't be that long. I think Area 51, I believe, is where it is going right there.
Of course, once that happens, it's all year long. It's not just Halloween.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's perfect Vegas vibe. I mean.
Yeah.
Now, Marty,
I wonder if they'll have slot machines.
No,
seriously, because when we talk about no gambling on the Disney boats and all the rest of it, I always wondered if they're going to have slot machines. Anyway, we'll see. So
we'll see. Marty, I've been trying to find your YouTube channel because I know you have one, but I have misplaced it in.
No. I don't have it. My YouTube channel is just private. It's just family videos and stuff. I've got like over 200, but I just keep it because I'm from a military family, so I've got family all over the place, and it's the easiest way to share videos with of my 6-year-old when we go out and do stuff. So
Marty, I always said that the only reason I joined Facebook, although I've been online my whole life, was to see pictures of the kids because they wouldn't send them to me any other way.
That's right.
The kids and the grandkids. So
I make videos, once a week at least whenever we go out and do something. And it's unlisted, and I send them to the in-laws and the aunts and uncles.
Fair enough. Well,
you'll find me on X at Mario84, and that's about the only place you'll find me online.
Marty is a great dude. He's a great follow. He's a tremendous account on X that you can actually follow. Love his insight. Love his point of view. He is in the park so frequently, so often. Literally, if I was going to defer to any two people, I will say, about what's happening in the parks right now, it'd definitely be Marty and Bob. They are on top of it. They are so connected with the community. They are so deeply invested into those parks and so forth with their time and effort. So thank you so much for lending us your amazing opinions and insight and so forth on this T3PO live here. So folks, I believe that just about wraps us up here. If you like this video, please like this video. If you feel so kind, please share us out, as that helps us out tremendously against the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do. We are always producing content every single day for you. Like Lou said, we will be doing the Hollywood Backlight with Lou and you on Saturdays, for the next 2 Saturdays, while I am in Palm Springs. Don't worry, we'll be still putting content out. It's just, I'm going to be traveling that Sunday, so what do you want me to do? But on that note, thank you so much for joining us here on That Pod Place, or T3PO, That Pod Place Podcast Online, until we can actually go forward with the name change that I understand I have to do at some point. But you know what? I like T3PO anyway, and thank you so much for watching here. We will see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.